Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm checking out a 2021 Genesis G80 all-wheel drive 2.5T in the Prestige trim level. This vehicle is sitting on a set of Michelin tires, 245/45 in the front, 275/40 in the back. Now these are wrapped around 19-inch alloy wheels with a gloss silver finish. It also has four-wheel disc brakes with ventilated rotors in the front and solid rotors in the back. The name of this color is Himalayan Gray. And speaking of gray, the skies are quite gray today, but it is a really nice color. It's not a super special color or anything that really stood out. It's just a really nice classic non-gaudy type color that goes well with the chrome trimmings of the car and just the overall style of the car as well. This grille is a chrome and it's just contoured really nice. This part is the chrome, and then down here it has that same design, but it's in the body color. And then you have a little chrome piece there at the bottom. There's parking sensors across the front, and they're kind of integrated, and you can't really see them. They don't stand out, but there's one. Here's another one over here. So as you're looking at the vehicle, it's not like this row of parking sensors across the front kind of integrated into the vehicle design. There's this piece though that kind of stands out. If that was integrated a little bit better, maybe if it was not glossy in the middle, something like that, or recessed or something. This is actually the adaptive cruise control radar sensor. So it does a pretty good job of hiding it, but you can kind of tell it's there. Just below that is a camera. Now this is part of the surround view 360 camera system, which is really, really good and handy. There is one thing I'd like to improve on it, but actually a couple things. We'll get into that later on. Check out the Genesis badging here on the hood. So it's the next best thing to a hood ornament that sticks up. So the headlights, really, really fantastic headlights. Check out my night video. All the exterior lights and interior are all LED on this vehicle. So it's a quad projector headlight system, LED turn signals, everything. And it works great. There's no gimmicks about it. It just illuminates everything in front of you. There's no active bending and moving around or anything like that. It just illuminates everything already. You don't have to move anything. There's no cornering lights. None of that to illuminate in front of you. It's just full illumination already. So check out my night video. It's really awesome. Taking a look at the profile here. Now it has body colored handles. And upper portion of the side mirror is also body colored, but there's a little chrome strip at the top of each handle, kind of giving a little bit of depth and a little style there. There's also a chrome strip here that's not completely level. It kind of contours with the shape of the vehicle and extends up. Little chrome accents here, and it's also a turn signal indicator here as well. This is amber. You see this at nighttime. It's awesome. The wheels are really nice, really classy looking, not too shiny or gloss or gaudy or anything like that. It just really looks nice. Now there is a chrome strip around all the glass. So you can see it goes all the way around, and then the pillars are a gloss black. So if you want to tint the windows, it will really solidify all the glass surfaces here. This is what the key looks like, and it's a full proximity system, so you can use the vehicle 100% just by having the key with you, and it's really cool. Some of the features are unbelievable. So it has a lot of buttons on it though. Lock, unlock, remote start, park in, park out, and I'll show you that in a second. It actually moves the vehicle while pushing those buttons. The ability to open up the power trunk. There's a panic button here, and then this is to turn on the exterior illumination. So if you want to have some lights come on before you get to the vehicle, you can have that done. Let's go ahead and push that panic button. Has a nice strong loud horn. So as long as you have this key with you, and it does have a physical key on the inside, but you do have to take this back cover off in order to access it. So it's kind of like changing the battery just to get to that little key. But as long as you have this key with you, it could be in your pocket, in a bag, as long as it's on the outside of the vehicle within a close proximity of the outside of the door, you can lock the door by putting your finger over this little sensor indicated by this dimple. So it locks the door. And actually, when you approach the vehicle with the key, you notice that the side mirrors are folded. But as you approach the vehicle with the key, it just kind of greets you by unfolding them, just by having the key within a close proximity. Now, all you have to do to unlock it, you simply put your hand behind the handle. There's a sensor back here. It senses the key on the outside of the door. This will not work if the key's on the inside. Put your hand here, and it allows you access the vehicle. Actually unlocks this door. So when you, in the settings, you can set it to where it unlocks one door or all the doors, depending on what you want to have happen. So now you have access to the vehicle. And as far as the physical key location here on the driver's side, it's right here. Just pull this out, and it's kind of angled down so you can access it, but it's there on the driver's side only. Now, the way the doors operate, when you can just shut it like a normal vehicle, like so, or if you close it gently like this, it will just close it for you. There is an approach light here on the underside of each side mirror. There's also is where you'll find the camera is here as well. You see a little camera right there. It's really well integrated, and it blends in with the vehicle. It doesn't stand out like some other vehicles. So the inside of the passenger side door, really, really nice. Now this one has the Lexicon 21 speaker sound system, and the speaker grill is really nice. It's an aluminum speaker grill with little micro mesh in it, looking fantastic, and has a real small badging on it, so it's not too gaudy. It also has a wood trim in the vehicle. Looks really nice, and it feels like an open pore wood as well. Now the entire door is soft touch to one degree or another. Some surfaces are softer than others, but they all are soft touch. Even down here, it's a soft, not super duper soft, but it is a soft touch surface. So there's actually 3 speakers here in the door. So you see one here, and one here. So there's 21 in the vehicle, so they got to cram them in different places. But it does an excellent job of filling in all around you and not being too heavy in one spot or another. So there's a nice Genesis sill plate here in the threshold area. So this is leather seats. There is a leatherette option as well, but these are the leather seats, and they're heated and vented, and they look fantastic. Very comfortable as well. Now the passenger has a little bit less controls. You do have a 4-way lumbar adjustment, the ability to tilt the back, but also you can go up and down and tilt the bottom as well. But the driver's seat has even more. It's amazing how many different adjustments you can have on the driver's seat. I will just say that. But the passenger is definitely going to be comfortable in this seat for sure. All right, so there's the floorboard. The floor mat, just kind of regular carpet, relatively thick pile of the carpet, but also just a quality feeling floor mat, and it hooks in place in 2 places there, and plenty of legroom there. It does have some tapering there. This is a rear-wheel drive vehicle, so the transmission does extend this way, so there's a little bit of tapering there, but not a big deal. Here's the glove compartment. Once again, it's soft touch surfaces down here, and it's a locking glove compartment, and it has a felt lining inside. Pretty good size. Talking about the glove compartment and the manual, look at that. And that's not the only one. There's actually another one, but really nice. glove compartment, soft landing when you come down, and the felt lining is nice. There's some more wood. Soft touch dash, and you do have a little bit of contrast stitching there on the dash as well. Massive sunroof. I'll show you that a little bit in more detail later on. It has a really cool shade the way it opens and closes. The opening in the front door is great. I mean, you have lots of headroom here, just wide open space. The swing of the door is great as well. The back door, basically the same thing. You have not so much is straight up, but it does have a little bit of a contour there. But as far as getting in and out, the swing of the door is fine. The opening is nice. You got plenty of headroom there, and it's really nice. There's also a control on the side of the seat in which you can move the seat forward a little bit when getting in the back if you need to. So the inside of the back door does have the shade that's can extend down. It extends down into the door, like so, if you don't want to use that. But back here, you got 3 speakers, you've got wood accents, soft touch surfaces, even down here, and even the handle. So like this handle in the front and this back one, it has a little rubber mat in the bottom as well. You know, there's not just hard touch surface in there. Even in the pockets, they do something with. And a Genesis sill plate back here, even in the back. Now these back seats are heated as well, and it is a separate climate control back here as well. And look at the contour. So this is basically a bench seat, but man, look at that. Look at that the contour there. So it's kind of like replicating a nice bucket seat in the back seat. It does have the latch system or ISOFIX for car seats, and it's just kind of right in here, so there's no covers to take off, so you can, you know, reach it right there. It's real easy to find and use, even though there's no, you know, open cover or anything. It's well hidden, but yet easy to use. I think that's good. Now this, if you don't need a center passenger, this folds down like so. Look at that. Look how nice that is. Now armrest, it also gives you your heated seat controls, also the ability to raise and lower a rear window shade, which actually I have the shade up now so you can see what it looks like, and extends down out of the way when you don't want to use it. And the heated seats are 3-stage, so it's high, medium, and low heated seats here in the back. Isn't that neat? This opens up, you have a storage compartment. You also have a USB charge port, a little place to put some stuff. Cup holders back here as well. There's also a pass-through. These seats don't fold down, so you have to use that pass-through if you need something long like skis or something. You can put in there. Now, the floorboard. You have a massive hump in the middle, so it's not really super practical for a center passenger anyway, because of that hump, and also just the way the seats are contoured. You can put like a child in the middle or whatever, but you know, it's not as usable as other vehicles, I'll just say that. So the back of both front seats, it has that soft touch surface, but it's more not as like super soft. It also has these pockets as well, so you kind of spring loaded. Has this elastic on either side, and you can put some stuff in there. But I like the fact that you can pull it all the way back and look in there instead of trying to reach in and feel around. The floor mats do hook in place with one hook, which that's usually for the front seats. I mean, the front floorboards usually have that kind of stuff, but not always the back. So sitting here in the back, you can control the climate control So you can adjust the temperature, the fan speed, even where the air blows. You can turn on automatic, or you can tune it the way you want it. It does have vents here, but also under the seats as well. And here's the buttons I was talking about here, to where you can tilt this front seat or move it forward and back. So if you need to get in and kind of like get comfortable in the front seat, person riding shotgun can compromise a little bit. You can go ahead and move them to where you can have more room. Thought that was pretty interesting. I've seen it in other vehicles, but this one has that as well. And as you're sitting back here, you do have the ability to turn on a reading light. There's a little hook right there for hanging clothes or something, and a handle as well. There's also this little hanger right here. It appears to be like a bag holder or something, but not sure exactly all the uses for that. There's one on each side in the pillar. Now I've seen in other brands they would have something there that you can attach things to. I don't know if that's an accessory attachment as well, but it's definitely like some kind of bag holder or some kind of hanger there. Taking a look at the back of the vehicle, starting here on the top. The sunroof actually, let's look at the top, because the sunroof is kind of blended in with these black surfaces here. So I don't know if you can tell because of the lighting situation. This is a gloss black surface, and then you have, there's the body color here. So that way that kind of blends in this whole roof with this massive sunroof, even here in the front. You see that, and then extends all the way back with that color. So the top part, also the little shark fin antenna is also a gloss black, so it kind of blends all that in. The third brake light is here at the top of the glass, LED, and it's nice and big too. It kind of has like a deck lid spoiler here, kind of integrated into the design. There's also parking sensors across the back. These are a little bit more visible, but they are body colored. And check out the exhaust tips. It's actually surrounds, but the air does flow through both of them. The reverse lights are down here, right there and there. The tail lights, turn signals, reverse lights, everything back here is LED. Really fantastic, sharp, impressive designed tail lights, reverse lights, everything just looks fantastic back here. Now the backup camera is very well integrated. So right here in the very center of the vehicle, so the very center of the vehicle here, and then at the very high position. So that's two of the things that I think is fantastic. Also, it's well integrated into the design of the vehicle. It doesn't look tacked on like some kind of thing. A lot of vehicles will have them kind of like a little black thing sticking out somewhere offset underneath near where the tag is. Like they didn't think about where they wanted to put it when they designed the vehicle, so they just kind of tacked it on as an afterthought somewhere, and it really doesn't look good. But this one, you can tell they integrated it into the design of the vehicle. It's in the perfect position to get the best visibility, and it works well. So very happy about that. Right above it, right here, so right there is a button. As long as you have the key with you or the vehicle's unlocked, you push that button and it lifts up the power trunk. So it has carpeting on the underside of the trunk. And here's the trunk space. Now it's all carpeted everywhere except for somewhere where I'll show you in a second. These little net pockets here on the right side, you can move these down, and actually behind that to give more space, but actually behind that net pocket is a little access door where you'll find the fuse box, little fuse box back here, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, those little net pockets you can just push down and add to your space if you need to, and you just lift them right back up when you want to use them. So yeah, all carpeted. It does have some tie down points on the corners there where you can put a net pocket, which this actually comes with it. And underneath this floor is the spare tire and tools. Also, the battery is back here as well, underneath the spare tire. This kind of helps out with weight distribution. So there's a pass-through there in the middle that you can, you know, like put skis or something long or whatever in there. But the seats do not fold down. You want to keep that in mind. It does have a release back here. So you can open the trunk by pulling that release latch, kind of an emergency situation. But what I found kind of disappointing is that there's a large portion of underneath in the trunk area that is not carpeted. It just has this exposed metal. Now, I'm not seeing too much sharp metal things, but there is some up here, some bolts and stuff like that. So if you're putting your expensive luggage back here and you're kind of cramming it in, it potentially could get scratched by this exposed metal. So I wish that was all carpeted. I see vehicles that a fraction of the price of this one that's all completely carpeted back here. Now it has two LED trunk lights, which is nice. You can check out my night video to see how good that works. It's kind of mediocre. Could be a little bit better, but it's better than a lot of vehicles, that's for sure. Closing the trunk, the power trunk, there's two buttons back here. One is to just simply close it. The other one is to close it and then lock the vehicle. So if you're completely done with the vehicle, you got your groceries out or whatever, you can hit that, walk away, it'll close the trunk and then secure everything. So I love that feature. Excellent, excellent. So let's go ahead and push that to close it without locking it. You see it comes right on down and secures. It has a locking fuel door, and it's here on the driver's side. So as you lock the vehicle, this will also lock. But right now the vehicle's unlocked, and it's kind of interesting because it's spring-loaded, so it kind of flips out for you when you release it. But when the vehicle's locked, this door will lock as well. And it has a fairly traditional cap, tether, and a little post, like a lot of other vehicles. It has a little post there that you can put it in that hole, so that way it gets it out of your way while you're pumping gas. Now it does recommend premium fuel, keep that in mind. Okay, so now let's go back to this key, because let's go ahead and do the remote start. We're going to hit the lock button and then immediately press and hold the remote start button. Now it's going to start up. Now I wish it would keep exterior lights on so you can let you know for sure that it started. If you're at a distance, it's nice to have that some kind of exterior light on, but it doesn't have that. So now that it's remote started up, so let's look at this key right here. You can see the park forward and park back. So we can actually press and hold these buttons and move the vehicle forward and back. And so let's say, you know, you park at a spot and somebody parks really too close to you or something and you want to pull it out or pull the vehicle in or whatever, you can use this feature to move the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and move it forward a little bit by pressing and holding this forward button. So it's going to basically hold the brake and move the vehicle forward. Very slow. As soon as you let go, it stops immediately. Now, let's move it backwards. We just press and hold, and it will move backwards. And you let go of the button, and it stops the vehicle. So really handy, and it's not as scary as you would think. It's pretty easy to use. The vehicle just stops as soon as you let go of the button, and it moves very, very slow. It's like it's holding the brake and overpowering the brake with the engine to make sure that when you release the button, it immediately stops. You don't have to worry about it, like, you know, rolling or anything like that before it stops. It'll immediately stop. And you can see by the brake light back here that it is still holding the brake, and it will, when it's finished, engage the parking brake as well. So it seems pretty safe to me. It was a little strange at first, but seems to work fine. So I pressed and hold the remote start to turn the engine off. So let's say we're just like, the engine was running, we moved it, and now we can press and hold the remote start, and it just turns the vehicle off, engages the parking brake automatically, it folds the side mirrors, and it's completely secure now. Okay, so I haven't tried this yet, but I wanted to see what happens if the vehicle has the wheels turned. You know, sometimes you park in a parking spot and you didn't straighten the wheels. You just kind of left it with the wheel turned like so. Let's go ahead and see what happens when we try to use that park in, park out. See if it will straighten the wheels or move with the vehicle with the wheels turned. So now let's go ahead and press and hold the back button. See what happens. Aha, it straightened the wheel. Look at there. All right. Go forward. Holding it, and it's moving really slow. But yeah, that's awesome. It actually straightened the wheel, so that way it won't go and hit anything when it moves. If you have the smart trunk feature turned on, all you have to do is walk up with the key. So the key can just be in your pocket or whatever, and you just walk up and stand there, and it opens up the trunk. So it gives you a countdown, so it doesn't immediately do it. But if you walk past your trunk a lot, then it's a little annoying because it starts beeping every time you walk by. But this is a really handy feature. If your hands are full and you just want to put something in the back, you just walk up to the trunk, wait a second or two, and it'll go ahead and open it up for you. It's really nice. Now, if you don't use the remote start and you just want to get in the vehicle and start it up, you just put your foot on the brake, hold it. You do have to have the key inside the vehicle. It could be anywhere. It could be in your pocket, in a bag, in a cup holder. As long as it's inside the vehicle, hold the brake and push this button right here. Here's the floorboard in front of the driver's seat. Now it hooks in place in two places, just like the passenger side as far as the floor mat. There's the accelerator and brake pedal. The accelerator pivots here at the bottom. Nice large footrest there on the left side. So let's go ahead and take a look under the hood. To open the hood, there is a little catch there to the right of the center. So there's a center line right in here. It's a little bit to the right underneath this wing. Let's reach in here, lift it up, and it releases the hood. You can actually see it right here. See what it does. And the hood stays up by itself. You just lift it up a little bit and then hold itself up. There's insulation and seals around the entire thing. Under the hood, there in the back. There's also covers that kind of cover up a lot of the outer edges. There's even a cover there on the top of the engine. Insulation on the firewall and heat shielding as well. There's more heat shielding here on the left side because this is a turbocharged engine, and the turbocharger is over there, which does have quite a bit of heat. It does have active grille shutters as well. You don't see a whole lot of four-cylinder, rear-wheel drive four-cylinder vehicles. So this is anymore. They used to be more common, but nowadays not so much. So this is an inline four. Usually this is going this way. So you have four cylinders going this way, and then the transmission is back here. It's an 8-speed automatic transmission. And so this is a 2.5 liter turbocharged direct injection four-cylinder, and it puts out 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. It's just amazing how much acceleration you can get out of this engine, and straight line, all-wheel drive, push you forward without any torque steer or anything. Acceleration it's really fantastic. You don't feel like you're underpowered like a lot of four-cylinders do. So I think they did a fantastic job with this engine, this powertrain. You know, when you first haven't driven it yet and you just look at the specs, you're like, four-cylinder in this vehicle? It seems like, man, you know, it just doesn't feel right to drive around in a vehicle like this with a four-cylinder, rear-wheel drive four-cylinder at that. But when you actually drive it and you accelerate and the handling, and the shift points and just everything about the driving experience. It's just good. It is a really good, they pulled it off. They definitely pulled it off. This side of the driver's side door is just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. So it does have presets for the driver's seat. There's 2 of them there. You do have the child safety lock, which you can just turn it on like so, and it keeps the windows from being rolled down and also the doors from being opened. The power windows, it's one touch up and down for all 4 doors. And the back windows, they only go down that far. They don't go all the way down. They're nice and smooth. And all the glass is a laminated glass. So it has 2 panes of glass with an acoustic material on the inside. So there's a pane of glass there, and there in the very center is a little bit of a softer material. So it's a laminated glass. Door lock controls are here, and actually when you lock the doors, it gives you a little button, a little light there that lets you know the doors are locked. But it's not, the door's open now, so it won't allow me to lock it for some reason. The side mirrors are adjusted here. You just pick a side and adjust it with this little pad, and then the center button is to power fold them in, and you can power fold them out like so. Now these are auto dimming heated side mirrors, and they have the little indicator for the blind spot detection system and rear cross traffic alert system on there as well. They also have an alert for oncoming traffic. So safe exit, I think it's called, to where when you're opening the door or you're getting ready to open the door and there's a vehicle coming and you're parked on the side of the road or something, then it'll alert you if there's a vehicle coming, so you don't like get your door ripped off or anything. So that's an additional sensor, an additional feature that they use that blind spot detection system for, besides just a rear cross traffic alert. Okay, so the driver's seat. Wow. Okay, so you'll notice it has extra buttons in addition to the other side. Now it has like a massage function. You can have it, it's called like a stretch or something like that, but you can have it on the bottom, the back. You also have the thigh extension here. You can go up and down, you can tilt the back. You also have a 4-way lumbar adjustment, but it also has the bolster adjustments as well. So you can move in and out these bolsters right here. So they go in and out to kind of squeeze your body. You can also set it to where when you put it in sport mode, it'll squeeze them in a little bit better, a little bit more as well. There's also a lot of features with the system on this vehicle. In addition to the manual controls here, you can set it up to where you put your height, weight, and all that stuff, and your inseam on your pants and all this stuff, like how big you are and what your proportions are, and it'll auto-tune the seat to kind of match your proportions. It's pretty interesting. I had to, still fine-tune a little bit more to get comfortable, but it gave me a position that was pretty dang close to comfortable, and so that was pretty neat how that works. Also, when you touch these buttons, you just put your finger on them. It actually shows on the screen what button you're pushing. You're touching. You're not even pushing it yet. You're just touching it, and it'll tell you what it does and give you a visual reference. And I'll show you all that when we get in the seat and everything. But there's a lot of features that I've never seen on any other vehicle that are really kind of useful. I mean, they're not just additional features just to give you additional features. It is a really useful, that particular one is very useful. Here to the left of the steering column, there's some buttons here. There's also a little cover right here. This is just for a fuse box. So if you take this off, you're gonna have to pop it off, and then that exposes some fuses. The ability to open up the power trunk. This is the electronic parking brake, which engages the rear wheels. Dimmer for the interior gauges. You can turn off the auto stop start feature, which I always do when I get in the vehicle, so it doesn't turn the engine off when I come to a complete stop. Now there's a lane keep assist button right here, so it keeps you from exiting your lane. It'll kind of like give you a warning if you go over the line or you're getting close to the line type thing. And then over here is your traction control. So if you need to spin tires, you can turn that feature off. Default will be on. So there's a power tilt and a telescoping steering column that's powered. So that way you can safely make adjustments while you're driving, actually, because it keeps the steering column locked. It doesn't unlock it and it's all loose. So you can actually fine tune it while you're driving. Really incredible interior. That wood looks fantastic. It feels nice. So before we go too far, I want to show you that seat, those seat controls I was telling you about. So when I put my finger, just simply place my finger on a particular control, it shows me what I'm touching. So I'm going to touch that one, here. All right, so this one, when I touch the massage, it says Ergo motion seat. So I can press that. I can turn it on. I can change to lumbar, whole body, or pelvic stretching, or off, basically. It also has settings in which I can go into. All right, let's push the other button here. That's to tilt the back. It actually shows the animation of me tilting the back. It's not super accurate, right, of what I'm doing, but it's showing me a representation. And then this one, let's see, this one right here to go forward and back. So I'm going to move it all the way back and all the way down. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Thigh extension. So it gives you a, it's pretty cool. It gives you a little animation showing you what it does. So just simply by putting your finger on the button, it shows you what button you're touching and also what it does. So really cool. All right, so I'm 6 feet tall. I have the seat all the way back and all the way down, which you just confirmed that I did it. And just gonna show you what the potential legroom here is. So basically, I have got way too much legroom. This is too far back for me to drive safely anyway. So my legs, I can put them completely straight out and I'm not really touching anything here. So lots of legroom. Let me turn off the massager so it doesn't make a bunch of noise. Okay, there we go. All right, so if you're over 6 feet tall, you've got lots of room. So if you need more room, as a tall person, you should have plenty here. So moving it up in a more reasonable position for me is about 4 or 5 inches forward, me being 6 feet tall. So this is a synthetic leather wrapped steering wheel, and it's pretty interesting looking. It's a little bit different than a lot of other ones, but it does have this little window here. So when you turn the steering wheel, you can see the gauges there. So that's pretty neat. Instead of having so when the steering wheel is upside down, you can see it, but of course, if it's this way, you can't see it, but pretty interesting. And the controls are slightly different than a lot of other vehicles, but they're easy to use once you get the hang of it. It's not really a complicated system here. There is a lot of features, but they try to make it relatively simple. So here on the right side is, as you can see, there's this little scroll wheel. There's an up and down, which you can press in. Same thing with this. And you got some buttons here. So this is mostly cruise control stuff. This scroll wheel, okay, and this little pages button, those correspond with the screen between the gauges. We'll get to that in just a minute. But you turn on the cruise control by pushing mode, that little switch there. This one is your lane centering, so it'll actually keep you in the center of the lane and actually turn the steering wheel, and it kind of helps ease your stress of driving a little bit, because you're not doing all the little micro corrections. You're just kind of holding the steering wheel, and it's mostly keeping it in the center of the lane, you know, if it sees the lines clearly. And if it's a relatively straight road, it's a little bit easier to drive, you know, the system to do that. This is the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you with the adaptive cruise control system, so you can adjust that as well. And this is, you can adjust your speed forward, up and down, and then you can press the center button to resume or cancel. So you can cancel it, you press it again to resume. Comes in handy, having it right there. Now, one issue I've had with this particular button here is that if I'm in a parking lot and I'm just kind of turning the steering wheel and I'm parking, accidentally pressing that and engaging cruise control at 60 miles an hour happened to me, and the car kind of lurched forward. I had to, you know, press the brake, turn it off. But it is kind of like raised out a little bit, so it's easy to accidentally press it and resume whatever cruise control you had set on before. It's only happened one time, but you know, it can happen, so you want to keep that in mind. On the left side of the steering wheel, there's a scroll wheel for your volume. So it's a little scroll wheel, go up and down for your volume. Press it in to mute the sound system or to pause whatever's playing, depending on what you're playing. And then you press it again to unpause it or unmute. This is to change through the tracks or the radio station. So it's up and down, which is a little confusing to me. I'm thinking, you know, my 80s tape deck mind goes forward and back, you know, for fast forward, rewind. So the up and down was a little confusing, but I had a way of thinking about it to where it's more logical for me, is that you have like a list of things. Let's say you have a list of songs top down. So if you want to go back, in other words, to the previous song, you go up. So it's previous on the list, and then down to go to the next one. So it made more sense once I thought of it that way. So this mode star, this is a customizable button. You can now a lot of times mode will be in a lot of other vehicles changing through your audio source, and you can set it up for that if you want, but you can also set this up for different things. Same thing with that star there. So you can go in the settings and choose what you want. Right here is voice recognition, so you can press that and say call so-and-so, that happens to be in your phone book, and then there's your phone book there in which you can accept or, you know, hang up on calls basically. And the way these buttons are, they have these little raised rubber grips on the edges, so you can tell the difference between each button. So sometimes there's like buttons and you can't tell the difference without, so this one actually you can feel the buttons and tell where they start and stop, so you can know what button you're pressing without actually looking down and trying to find the button. So I think that's good. These are the same way. And we'll get to this button and this one in a second. So it has the, there's the windshield wiper controls. It does have an automatic rain sensing feature basically. And you can have high, low, or intermittent. You can also do a mist. On the left side is your turn signal, of course, but it's also your headlight switch. So you have off, automatic, parking, and then your headlights on. Now it does have the automatic high beam system, and so once you turn your high beams on, it will turn that feature on at nighttime. Now it does have to be on automatic here for that to function basically. Okay, so here's the gauges, and so it has this physical gauge here on the left, physical speedometer, and fuel gauge there. But on the right side and in the middle, it's all digital screens here. So I'll show you real fast so you can see. This is representing, trying to make it look like an actual RPM gauge, a tachometer. But when I put my turn signal on, you see that goes away. Now we have a camera, so it shows the view in the blind spot to the right side. If we go to the left, it shows the left blind spot camera there. And this still shows a digital version of the RPMs there at the bottom. See those numbers changing now? So it still shows you the RPMs, it just changes it to just a regular number. So you still have that information while you're making a turn. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it's a good way of kind of hiding it, and it's completely not even there, and then all of a sudden it pops up, which is pretty neat. So here we have the outside temperature, odometer, distance to empty, and what gear we're in, and some of the features here. Digital speedometer in the middle, which is kind of small. I thought it could be a little bit bigger. It's a lot of empty space there, and I thought maybe they could fill it in a little bit better than that. But it does have a digital speedometer, so that's nice. So first I'm just going to scroll. I'm going to use the Pages button. So this is kind of like a quick access to certain things. It's not the full functionality, but we push that, it kind of cycles through. So this will be your cruise control system with your lane centering system. So it's letting you know that it's seeing the lines or not, and it's also letting you know the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you or not. It's also, letting you know if there's a vehicle in front of you or not. Now this information will be up here when it's not here. All right, pushing the Pages button again will shows a digital representation of a compass, and goes back to the digital speedometer. Now while you're in the digital speedometer, I don't know if you see these little bars here to the right. Now we can use the scroll wheel. You can see those little bars show you that this is part of a full menu system. So when you change out of the digital speedometer, you don't have a digital speedometer anymore. You only have the regular speedometer. Just keep that in mind. It would be nice if it just like moved it up or something, but it doesn't. It just completely makes it go away. All right, so we have different information here, which we can customize. We can take things away if we don't want all this stuff here. And so you got like, engine temperature, tire pressures, attention level. This is pretty interesting. Like if it senses that you're like driving lazily or whatever, then it pops up with a picture of a cup of coffee. It's like, hey, maybe it's time for a break. So I don't know exactly what metrics they use, but it's kind of interesting. And there's a digital speedometer. You have trips, which shows your timer, distance travel, and average miles per gallon. And there's another trip, which you can reset independently. Fuel economy. My default basically would be the digital speedometer, but you have other information in there as well. Okay, so let's tackle this beast right here. This screen is really good, okay? Now it is thin and wide, super wide screen here, but it has a lot of features in it. The clarity, the resolution, lots of pluses about this screen. Now you'll see right now it has this blend. This would be like a home screen, and it has a blend between what your radio's doing, the climate, like what's going on. It actually gives you the temperature, but then a visual of what's going on. Now there's no mountains around here, but it is kind of misty and cloudy today, so it kind of gives you that cloudy look. And then you notice it slowly fades into a map. So a lot of home screens on a vehicle have just like clear block separators. This one kind of fades in and makes it look really nice. And you have that digital clock there in that spot as well, which goes away when you put the camera system on, which I don't understand why, but usually it's right there, the clock. So I really like this particular screen. On a sunny day, it'll show nice blue skies and the sun shining. And it'll have different views depending on the weather, and it's just a really nice thing to look at. And you can still see what you're playing on the radio down here, and you can still see your map. It's just a nice split screen. I think they did a good job. Okay, so I have to kind of skip ahead a little bit to show you what this thing is. Because this is a touch screen. You can take your finger and touch on the screen. You can do that. You can also use this little wheel thing right here. You can push it. You can also move your finger in here as well and swipe. You can do some swiping. You can also do like draw pictures, like draw letters as well, and do searches and stuff like that by drawing in here. So it's a touchpad, it's a physical buttons, and it's also a wheel in which you can turn. So this is a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get used to it, it's actually pretty neat. It has a back button, a home button, and a menu button here as well. This is a volume button, and this is to change through your radio sources there. So there's like these little scroll wheels and stuff. And this is a wheel going this way. So just want to show you that. We're kind of skipping ahead a little bit because I have to show you how I'm operating the screen. Okay, so looking at the screen, if I were to press to the right, or I can scroll to the right by rolling this round thing to the right. Now I'm turning the wheel now, and if you turn the wheel, you can see it goes to these different choices. Now, if I press to the right on the wheel, it takes me to the whole nother page of stuff in which I can turn the wheel and scroll through. So let's go back to this original one so you can see these different options here. The first one is this map. So I'm going to press this whole thing down in the center. So this is what the map looks like. And you'll notice that the clock is now up here in the center. So they moved it from there, now it's here. And I like a clock to stay in the same spot, so that way I know where my eyes have to glance in that same spot when I'm driving, so I can see what the time is. Anyways, but there's the map there, and I can scroll the wheel and zoom in and out. And there's different views. You can have top down, you can have the three-dimensional thing. There's all kinds of different views there. You could actually look at the entire Milky Way if you want, apparently, by scrolling. But so that's what the map looks like. I'm going to push the back button. It's going to take me back to the screen. We can go into the navigation menu, put in a particular destination, and the way you operate this is for this screen, but also other screens as well. If I scroll, it goes up and down. If I push to the right, physically push to the right, push down on it, and it takes from here to there. Now I can scroll through this one. So there's lots of levels in which you can go to the next level, scroll for that one. So let's go back here, go to the right. See, I push to the right instead of scroll to the right. So when you push to the right, it takes me another page. If I scroll to the right, it takes me to the next tile here. So this is the radio. Turn that down. Alright, so this is what the radio looks like. And so it has presets there on the left side. It has nice big numbers showing you what's going on. It actually has like a little dial indicator, kind of like old school dial. Pretty neat. I'm noticing that the clock is smaller than this, and that's actually bigger than this digital speedometer. So I guess the radio is more important than your speed. Alright, so that's basically the basic radio. And let's go back out of that. Turn the wheel to the right. Media. So you have like a Bluetooth, USB device, different things like that. You can play that through here. HD radio. Your phone, once you pair your phone, you have access to that. Connected services. So this is the Genesis connected services. So you can get additional information through your cell phone, basically. Like you can connect your cell phone, and there's like an app, and keep track of things. Like if you want to keep track of your maintenance and all that stuff, you could do that through this connected services. Phone projection. So this will be Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You will need to, when I press it, it shows you will need to plug it into a USB cable. So it's not wireless yet. So I'm assuming in the future it will be a wireless system. Alright, so the next one is a voice memo, really cool. So you can select that, just speak into the system, it'll record that particular memo, and then you have access to it later. So if you're the type of person, which I think most people should, is to write stuff down and record what they're thinking, because they forget. There's so many good ideas we come up with that we forget about until it's too late or whatever. All right, so another thing we can do on this screen is we can swipe. Remember I was talking about this being a touch screen, so we can swipe. We're swiping. So you can use that feature as well. So the setup, there's so many things that you can set up, and I might do a separate video showing you how to set this vehicle up, because there's so much to go into in the settings here that it's a little bit overwhelming at first when you realize how much is actually in this vehicle and what is capable of. And I'm kind of thinking that a lot of people will buy this vehicle and not actually get trained properly by the dealership, and they'll be paying for a lot of features that they could have used and they don't know how to use. And so I think it's really important for the dealerships to spend more time and follow up on training with customers to make sure they know how to use the features that they're paying for, because there's so many good things about this vehicle. There's just a little bit of a learning curve with, so that's why I'm going to do probably a separate video. If I have time to do it, I'll try to do it, showing you all the features and how to set it up. I'm just going to kind of scroll through here. So I'm going to scroll through this one. So it has vehicle navigation, sound, device connection, user profile, voice recognition, display, touchpad, connected services, and in general. So when we go into, see, each one pops up a submenu there to the right. So when you go into vehicle, let's go over here to the right, drive assistance. So we could select that. Now, when we're in driver assistance, you can see this next level. We can scroll through this one, and you see there's another sub level to that one. So it's like a family tree of features here as I scroll through. So you get the idea on why this has to be a separate video. We can scroll through there, and it tells you precisely what each one is doing, basically. So it does kind of help you. The system itself is really good, and it does have a manual in here as well, which is searchable. So the sounds of nature, if you want to have like some background sounds or something in the background, you can have that. It's pretty interesting. It actually has little pictures here as well. Fireplace. So there's quite a few different sound effects, basically. That one's kind of creepy because it sounds like somebody's walking behind you. We'll go to calm seaways. Alright, so let's go here. We'll stop that. We'll go back out of that. Alright, so valet mode, I don't have any experience with that, but basically it keeps the vehicle from limits its performance, is what my understanding with valet mode and stuff like that. All right, so the seat, we can go in here and we can control the passenger seat and fine tune it from right here. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The next one is climate, which you can go in here and enable, disable, control different things on the climate control, in addition to the buttons that are below. And I'll show you that. So there's additional features here, little settings that you can quickly access when you have the climate control up. Kind of scroll through those quickly that you can disable or enable there. You can lock the rear climate to where you can control it here only, and the kids in the back can't play around with it because they'll have the heat on while you have the air conditioner on or something like that. All right, so let's go back out of that, and then notifications will be like, hey, time to change the oil. And then here's the manual. When you pull this up, you have a quick guide, and then you have a handwriting manual. So this basically shows you how to draw. We'll go ahead and hit that, and just to show you that you can actually draw on this pad and do a search by drawing the letters. So there's no keyboard here, so you have to figure out a way to get into the input to the system. And one way is to, you know, start drawing characters on the touchpad here. All right, so let's go over here. Now let's push the menu button. That's where you can turn display off. You can also reorder these icons if you want to as well. And when you hit the home button, it pulls up this screen, which is great. I like to quickly just get out all that stuff and go to nice screen that I enjoy, and just roll with it. Because once you get it set up, you don't actually have to go into all that stuff. It's just there in case you need it, basically. Okay, so let's look down here. There's the four-way flashers right here in the wood, kind of integrated. And then there's some physical buttons here that you can quickly access on the screen. So we got the map, navigation. So the map will just be the map screen, but then the navigation will be, you can put in an address, that kind of thing. Your radio, media, favorites. You could set this up for a particular screen that you wanted to go to, and then setup. When you push setup, it pops up the complicated thing going on there. So just keep that in mind. It's not something you could quickly access and while you're driving, you know. So you want to set everything up beforehand. So the climate control, it's actually off right now. Let's go ahead and turn it on. I have an automatic, and you see the temperatures are here and these dials, and this is the way you adjust the driver and passenger or rear. Right now they're synced, which you can turn that off by pushing this button, or simply just turn that other dial. That way you can adjust them separately. And you have your front and rear defrosters here as well. Recirculate the air, and it has this nice little screen here in the middle. This is also a touch screen. So you have your ventilated seat controls. It's high, medium, and low, so it's a 3-stage, and then a 3-stage heated seat as well. Heated steering wheel, and it's actually 2-stage, high and low. And the same thing for the passenger seat. So 3-stage heated and ventilated seat there on the passenger, and then you can push where you want the air to blow while you're going. Now it has automatic fan speed, and the automatic fan speed operates within a predetermined amount. So you got low, medium, and high. So you can limit that automatic fan speed. So if you don't want the fan blowing too much, but you want to keep it at the temperature you want as best as possible, you can, you know, limit that high fan speed. So it's not a full automatic fan speed per se. It does have the ability to, you kind of have to push those buttons in order to get it to where you want. So like say a real hot day, and you have it on low like that, then you get in the vehicle and it's not really getting cooled off as fast as you want it to. You got to remember that you have to push that higher one. So it's not a fully automatic per se type system. It does have that little. Now it's nice because you can limit. Let's say you're having a conversation or you're listening to music and you don't want the fan blowing real loud. You can limit it, but you do have to remember that it's not a fully automatic in that way. The fan speed you do have to give it some kind of limit there. But the system looks fantastic. All right, so down here we have more of that wood. This moves back. And there is there's a access to the system for the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay right there. You also can charge your cell phone, and then you can also charge it wirelessly by just plopping it up right in this spot right here, and you have a little charge light letting you know that it's charging. So you can just put your cell phone in there if you want, but if you lay it this way is where the charging spot is. And it has a little bottom part right here. It's all rubberized, and it kind of props it up against this surface. It's kind of hard to see fully in there, but you can definitely feel it. It's kind of like a V shape in here. This lifts up, and you have some cup holders, and has little arms that take up the slack on the cups. No illumination in these cup holders, which is kind of surprising. It has a little rubber bottom part that you can take out, clean it, and put it back in. So we saw the dial, we saw these buttons here: back, home, menu, volume wheel, and then this is a wheel for changing through radio stations or tracks, or depending on what you're doing. Alright, so then down here we have an auto hold button, so that'll hold the brake for you when you come to a complete stop. And then this is the shifter. Now, it's easy to use, and I like it. And you notice it has like a greenish color right now because I have the ambient light turned to that green color. You should check out my night video. You can go in and change the ambient light colors. It's pretty cool. And that's part of in the settings as well. So all you have to do, so right now it's in park, and if you push that button, it goes in park. To put it in drive, you just turn it to the right, and it goes in drive. To put it in reverse, you turn it to the left. Now, if you want to go into reverse first, it's like you just turn it to the left, and it goes straight into reverse. Now, a couple things will happen when you put it in reverse. One is the rear shade will lower, so you can have better visibility. Another thing is your parking sensors will pop up, and they'll give you a little visual reference there for the front and rear parking sensors. So if there's something there, it'll beep at you, but it'll also show you on this particular screen where it is, left, right, or center, front, or back. You'll also have your camera system, which pops up here as well. So now it's giving us a rear view. And just to make it easier, I'm just going to show you by using the touch screen here. So the rear view, you can extend this out. You can get a side view here and there, and then a top down. Just the rear view, and it has active guidelines. So as I turn the steering wheel, it'll show me lines of where the vehicle is going to go, that kind of thing. But you also have this one. It's like a top-down view. It's just basically a closer look at the 360, but you notice it has that center line. So you can see it turns as I turn the steering wheel as well. And it also gives you the outer edges of the vehicle as well. So there's the different options there. And this next one is pretty interesting. Push that, and it's like you're looking at a video game now, because you're not actually looking at your vehicle. You're looking at a visual reference, like a digital representation of your vehicle, but you're actually looking at your real surroundings. So as I turn this wheel down here, remember this wheel down here, just like it's like a record player. But as I turn that, I'm able to see around the vehicle, see what's going on around me. And it's pretty neat, because when I turn the steering wheel, you can see the wheel moving on the screen. And I half expected for me to look and actually see me sitting in the car, but no, it doesn't show a passenger in the car. And it doesn't show it shows this color instead of whatever the color vehicle is. So, but as you turn it around, it's kind of neat. You can kind of like roll it around fast and look around, and it's fun to play with. But you can get to see what's around the vehicle. Thought that was a really cool feature. You can even pose it. Alright, so this next one pops up, so goes straight to your settings for this particular situation. You know, for the camera settings, basically. All right, so we're in reverse. So let's put it in drive. And when we put it in drive, we see what's in front of the vehicle now instead of the back. Now we can go like this, and we can see top down on the front, and we can see where the tires are going to land on the ground. Next one is the front tires on the sides. So now we can actually turn the steering wheel. You can see where the tires pop out when you're turning the steering wheel, and you might be confused. This is the left side, that's the right side, and it's just eliminating the car. So you're just seeing the sides. So if we want to get real close to a curb or something like that, we can do that. We can see right where that tire is going and how close we are, or whatever. It's kind of showing there on the side. All right, so we have different views here and here. And of course we still have that view. It's the same thing there. And the top-down view is always handy, just to give you a idea what's going on. And it kind of stitches it together around you pretty well. All right, so let's go ahead and put it in park by pushing this button. And when we put it in park, we're not in reverse anymore. It raises the shade in the back as well. And you'll hear the shade going up and down when you do that. When you reverse and then you drive, and it kind of sounds like a robot in the back seat, but if you're not playing music, you can hear it. It's not super loud or anything, but okay. So drive mode, that's the camera. So you push this. If you don't want to have it in drive, or you want to have it in park, and you want to pop up the camera, you could push that. And one thing I wish it had is that I wish you were able to turn it on to where when you get slow, and you start driving real slow, that just automatically pops up. Like a Toyota has that feature. And you turn that feature on, it's called automatically turns on the camera when you start creeping real slow up to a stoplight or a parking spot or whatever. It just automatically pops that camera up. I wish that this vehicle had that feature. So that's just the one thing that I wish it had. And the parking sensors, you can turn those on or off. You can see the little on light now. Okay, so this is the armrest, and it's kind of interesting because it has like these kind of like bay doors or whatever, and soft to the touch, pretty soft, doesn't really bottom out that much. And to open them up, there's a button under here. So we lift that up, and it opens up both of them. And it does have some illumination in there. There's a 12-volt power supply in there as well. And it has these little tray. This little tray is a little aggravating, though. It's a little bit of a pain to get it back in place, and it kind of gets in the way. So if this was my vehicle, I would toss this thing, because it's constantly getting in the way, and it doesn't really, it's just not refined. There's other ways you can do that, but that's not really that great. So all right, so there's a light in here, and this actually goes up in here a little ways. You can actually go in the front a little ways under here. This is all felt lined, and the wires can't go in and out of this compartment, except for maybe you could squeeze through the center. But there's not like a designated spot for wires to go in and out. Now, one thing is, let's say you had a passenger and they had their arm right there. You can lift this up, and if their arm is blocking it, it stays down, and you can still access this compartment, and they don't have to move their arm. So I thought that was pretty interesting. You could just open one side, not both sides. But the only thing about it is, when you're opening up both sides, you see from my perspective, this is in the way. I have to lean over and kind of look down in, which is not a huge deal, but it's a little bit different. Okay, so the rear view mirror and the side mirror, so you can see the side mirror over there, is auto dimming. Auto dimming on both sides. And the reason why it's auto dimming now, because I have the shade up and it's blocking the light sensor, which is back here. And so you can turn that auto dimming feature off if you want to. There's also your home link garage door opener controls are under here. And check this out, it's kind of looking pretty cool. The surface of this, kind of reflective, a little bit holographic looking. But you push that and that's just a place to put your shades, and it has like a felt lining on the inside similar to the glove compartment. And there's some reading lights here and there, kind of fade on and off, which is nice. You could turn on all the interior lights, turn them all off. There's a connected service button right there, and emergency roadside assistance button here. And this button is to turn on the lights with the door. So when I open up the door now, interior lights turn on. If I turn that feature off, the little light goes out. Now when I open the door, the lights will not turn on. So like if you have a baby sleeping in a car seat, you can open up the door without all the lights turning on, that kind of thing. So this is the rear shade. And when we look at the visibility in the back, I'll show you that. And this is for the sunroof. Let me go ahead and close that. I'll show you that in just a second. So the visor has a big mirror and light here, and a little clip so you can put your registration or something there. And this is just like a regular cloth material, just like the headliner. Nothing super special there. Same thing on the passenger side. So let's look at this massive sunroof. All right, so it blocks 100% of the light when you have it closed. 100% of the light, which is nice. Let's go ahead and open it. And when we open it, it opens from the center. It's looking pretty nice. Pretty cool. And it has a lot of tint on the glass, so it doesn't like have a huge amount of light coming through. See how much light's coming through these windows relative to there? So it's not like a huge, light shining in on you and heating you up too much. So I kind of like that. A sunroof doesn't let like all the sun come in like some of them do. So let's go ahead and open this up. Has a massive piece of glass in the front, fixed piece in the back. But you'll notice that's as far back as it goes. It doesn't actually open up the entire area. But you can tilt it up as well. Let's go ahead and close it. Pushed it too hard, hold on. All right, tilt it right there. Just kind of lets a little bit of air in. All right, now we'll close it up. Okay, so let's look at the visibility. So we have that shade back there, and we can raise it and lower it. It'll automatically lower when we put it in reverse. Kind of goes out of the way. And then you can raise it like so. So when you put it in reverse, it actually lowers. But as you're driving, you do have to look through it. So we'll leave that up for now. I have one shade down on this side on the door, and one shade, one down, one up. So I got it mixed up. So that one's up, this one's down. So you can see the difference. It's not a huge difference, but it does make a difference as far as visibility. And of course you have those pillars back there, but it does have little windows kind of, so you can see through basically the pillar. So that's pretty good. Now, of course, the camera system, rear cross traffic alert, blind spot detection system, even has the safe exit feature, parking sensors, all kinds of different features this vehicle has in order to help with visibility. So I don't even find myself looking out the rear glass so much unless I'm driving and I'm just kind of looking out for cars or whatever. But it does have decent visibility anyway. Even if you need to use them, you got them. You got that actual real visibility in addition to the camera and all that stuff. And of course the blind spot camera, don't forget about that. When we put it in, change lanes, we can see what's going on. So really, really cool. This is an overall excellent vehicle. There's a lot of features, and once you learn how to use it, it's just a really enjoyable vehicle to drive. I just love driving this one. It's just, some vehicles, it's just basic transportation with some quirks, basically. This one they're aiming for excellence, and in doing that, it gives you a different level of experience when you're driving the vehicle. The sound system is amazing. As the 21 speaker Lexicon sound system, love it. It's not the best in the world, but it is fantastic. I really, really do love the sound system in this vehicle, which makes it, you know, even more enjoyable. So there's many layers of enjoyment. The acceleration, the braking, the handling, the sound system, the comfort and customization of the seat, the heated and ventilated seat, heated steering wheel, not just the heated steering wheel, it has high and low heat on the steering wheel, so it's not just full blast all the time. You know, little things like that just make this vehicle a pleasure to drive. There's very few things that I stumble on when I'm using this vehicle that annoy me or whatever. There's very few things that are impeding my daily life, that kind of thing. But anyways, I'm gonna have a full night video. I'm gonna try to make a video where I go through all the settings and setting up the car, because there is a learning curve. Let me just point something else out. You know, there's just little things that they do, okay, that most people are gonna overlook. Look at this carpet, and the way the carpet contours up to the molding, to where it's seamless, basically. So like, say if you're cleaning this vehicle out, then you don't have a little trap for dirt to get into this area right here, because there's no little place for the dirt to get into, because the carpet is almost above this plastic piece. You know, the full touch surfaces on the door, there's just so much, just little itty bitty things, little detail things that you may not notice at first, but they add up. I don't know how to explain it. They just add up to, it's like, wow, they really are aiming for excellence here. So they're not just trying to build a vehicle just so you can drive to work or whatever. This is something that they want you to have a positive experience in every aspect as possible. As many dimensions as possible when you're an owner of one of these Genesis, basically. But anyways, I can really literally talk about this, all the different features and how much I like this vehicle, for hours. But anyways, I got more videos to watch out there, so you can check those out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.